I will wait a bit to ensure that everyone is coming into the webinar. And hopefully you can hear me and that everything is in place. I have a new computer, so hopefully this will work. I will wait at least, 1 minute. Yes. So perfect. Let's start then. A big welcome to this webinar where we're going to talk about automations today. My name is Fanny Hildestrand and I am the head of customer success here at Startdeliver. So for today's webinar, this will be recorded, so you will receive this webinar afterwards. And also, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask them in the chat or Q&A. One of those are opened, and I will try to answer them at the end. I think this webinar will take approximately 30 minutes, not an hour, so we have time with questions also. But I hope you guys are excited for this session. So let's start then. The agenda for today, I've already had one automations webinar before where we went through a bit of the basics in the settings of automations, but then we truly focus on how we can automate emails and send out emails. We're gonna rewind a bit in this webinar actually and take the broader picture, but we're really gonna become more practical, where I will show you approximately 6 automations today that we are working with at Startdeliver, but also some of our customers are currently using. So I've been scouting around a bit and looked into automations that I really think can be of use, especially now in the beginning, that we will work and start easy and walk through the different life cycles with our customers, action for risks. That is something I've heard is really important to get that information to you as a customer success manager when we are having customers at risk, and also what to do then. But also all in all help you to automate even more. Automations we can use both for enhance your platform in sense of helping to push data. That is something we won't go through today. We will focus mainly on automations based on customers and users down to projects that will help customer success managers on the daily basis. So yes, that is what we're going to go through today. I think we all can agree on why should we in customer success start to automate our work. We have so much on our table and it's difficult to be able to prioritize and understand where and what should I do at times with so much going on. So we would like to be able to scale without losing the human touch, meaning that we as customer success managers can emphasize our time where it truly matters. And that is mainly in meetings with our customers. Ensure that we create impact and deliver the value that we want to our customers. So we allow the automations to do everything behind the scenes. So this will free up the time for us to be in meetings, but it will also help us to free up the time to become even more strategic. We can start to analyze how are we actually working with our customers? Do we deliver the value that we want in our meetings? How are the automations helping us? Are they enabling us to become more efficient in our daily work? So this will help us to become even more strategic in our work. Automations will help to improve consistency and reduce human error. Hopefully that is not that common, but when we are stressed and we have a lot on our tables, of course, we can do some human errors sometimes. So it will help out with the consistency. And I think this is the main aspect. And also what we're going to go through today quite a bit is with the jungle of information and data that we have, that we becomes notified with the help of automations in the right time with the help of the data. So we know when to reach out to a customer, what to reach out about. And so it will help us to become more data-driven in our interactions and interventions. And of course, enable to personalize at scale. We see more and more that we want to segment our customers based on various reasons, but also that it becomes more of less human touch with the customers with the help of automations and also emails that I will go through a bit, but what we discussed before, it will help us to still become personalized with our customers, yet the automations do the work. So there are plenty of reasons why we should start to automate. And I think we all agree on that and are quite eager to start or continue the work of become even more advanced in the automated world and work. I always refer back to the checklist a bit because automations can be powerful, even though we really like to work with them. So my recommendation is to have this checklist in mind where we want to tick off this if we will start with automations. And this can also even help you to get inspired with what automations we want to work with. So reliable data that can trigger the actions is really important. Hopefully we have a lot of data in place in Startdeliver, but do we trust the data? That is a question that you should ask yourself, and also with health metrics, if that should be some sort of filter in our automations. Do we trust the data? If that is a yes, then that is great. If not, it's an alarm bell, and I ask you to reach out to me so we ensure that you can trust the data, because that is crucial. Then that we have clear understanding of our customer journey. Of course, that is something that will always be iterated a bit, but at least that we have defined our customers' life cycle stages, and also understand what should we do in each life cycle stage when they are in onboarding, adoption, retention, expansion, and what are the data that we see in those different life cycle stages, and what should we do. And last but not least, that I think can help. Now, hopefully this will help you to get inspired, because I understand we all want to start with automations, and it can look like a blank canvas that we don't really know where to start. And I think this is a great question to ask yourself or your team. What are their biggest pains as customer success managers today in their day-to-day work? Is there anything we can help to allow them to become more efficient in the sense of, that the automations help with certain tasks and work, so that we spare them some time as well. So I think that is a great question to ask you and your team. What are the biggest pains? That usually leads to, okay, here we want to start with some automations and help the team. So that is the checklist that I would like you to bring with you when we work with automations. And I want to show you the automations that we're going to go through today, so you know what you can expect from this workshop. As I have spoken to plenty of customers, and also what we see now is that we want customer success, or it's in need that we are emphasizing a lot of urgency with our customers. We're going to emphasize a bit on these automations on risk customers. So for instance, assign at risk confidence based on poor usage. That is one example. Launch project automatically as we go down to the project level, and where we're going to launch a risk project. Become notified and also send welcoming emails to stakeholders. So I will take maybe more than one action in one automation. Then we will also change status from onboarding to adoption, and that is on project level. That is after we're closing an onboarding project that we want to change status on the customer. and then also send an internal notification about renewal. So we're going to go through all different levels of automations, different actions, and also work with the dynamic fields a bit that can be difficult sometimes. It was for me as well. So we're going to go through that step by step. So we're going to create automations. So I hope you are excited. So let me go into the platform. Yes, and also here I will just, so perfect. As mentioned, we're going to talk quite a bit about automations that do reflect with risk with our customers. And we have different ways of and different reasons of risk with our customers. One risk is a change of a stakeholder, poor usage, as I mentioned. The stakeholder hasn't logged in for a very long time. We haven't heard from them for a very long time. That can be seen as risk. So just to inform you when we are working with automations is that, and I know this has been a requested feature, that we can have or fields or filters in the automations, meaning that we create one risk automation with all these different reasons. Unfortunately, that is not working today. So we need to create an automation for each risk reason. Just want to put it out there. Otherwise, it would be and with all filters. So then we rarely want to have a customer to match on if they should match on all these risk reasons, and then we lose the automation and the power of it. So unfortunately, but that is still work in progress, that we're going to have an or field within the automations. But we're going to start here. Workflow and automations is where we have all our automations, as you can see here. Important also to know is that it's only administrators that do have access to automations. And here we can follow our automations that has already been created. As we can see here, also what do trigger the automations, how many customers have been affected, what different actions do we do with those automations. So we can hover over and see what we have in each automation. How many customers has been affected by the actions today, this week. And we can also go in and have a look at one automation where we then can see all customers that has gone through this automation. Then we can sub-filter down to in progress, completed, and also if we have any customers that failed. So we can troubleshoot and also see why do they fail. We can iterate in the setup of this automation, so we don't need to recreate if there's something we have missed as well. Pause or archive. Just so feel free to play around with it, and we can always archive, and then it comes the delete option or pause the automation as well. So it's important for you so you feel safe when you're creating your first automations. So create a new automation we have here. As mentioned, we're going to assign at risk confidence. So we can then press there and then fill in assign at risk confidence based on usage. So let's say that we will create different automations for risk. So then we can have for the different reasons in the description so we understand. Type of item, customer. This is on a customer level that the automation will go on, where we're going to have the customer filters that we're going to filter on, or values that are going to be changed. So we have it on a customer level. Then should we allow multiple runs per customer, meaning that a customer in this case can go down to poor usage several times while they are a customer of ours. So we have it as a yes. Underneath, we have rerun delay optional. So do we want the automation to pause for a few days when we have sent out or automated out actions for that specific customer? I recommend to have a delay on the rerun for customers, and it can be 1 day or 2 days, but just allow the automation to breathe a bit. So if something would happen, as there are automations and data involved, we reduce the risk of it becoming spam, or then it will automate too many times for one customer. So we allow the automation to breathe a bit. And then we come down to the criteria. And this is where we then have first what should trigger the automation. The most common one is when an item is updated. Then we have time-based. Time-based is meaning should it run and trigger out something at a specific time every day, for instance. So it's not that common. It depends on your data setup mainly. So we will emphasize on when an item is updated. And then we have as a shortcut as well, that is not as common, where we then have for multi-action automations. And then this little permission is coming, where the short answer on this, keep it always on the left. It's a security button where, because administrators is the only ones who has access to these automations. And when we create automations, we can also create automations that only administrators can do. So not main users or light users can do. So if we have it on the right-hand side, the automation will only be affected on customers where the team member, the CSM, are an admin, so they can post the automation if something goes wrong. But I think we should trust the admin that they do the try of the automation, that it will work, so we have it on the left. So change it always to the left. And that is specifically also when we start to send emails or automated emails, the one who clicks, team member that created the automation, or the one who will send the automated emails. So that's also a good point to bring with you here as well. And then we come to criteria. So here we said at risk based on poor usage. So here we can then change it on. First, we want to match it on the filter that they're not already in the confidence at risk. So we only want to impact on the normal and the high ones here. But they should be active. And then that the usage is. So all customers now that has normal confidence or a high confidence that are still active but has a poor usage, because this this automation will work every day, will receive at risk confidence. So then we can save criteria. So we want to have, if it only matches a filter, we want to have only one here, so it looks nice and tidy, because we can also have value was changed. Has something changed on the customer? Then we can add another criteria. Otherwise, we want, if it's only matches a filter, we want to keep it in one. If it's different ones, we want to have separate. Actions, here we can also have multiple actions, but we want to update the customer. And here we have all the customer details that we can change. And here we have confidence. Then we want to update and replace with at risk, create action. Then of course we might want to do more things with this. We want to create a task to notify the CSM. We want to create a comment on the customer, anything like that. We can also do in one automation, and I will show you in other ones as well. And then we always have per default to run the automations as test. So click to activate assign at risk confidence. Still run as test. So we can have it for 1 day, 24 hours. We can see how many customers has been processed. Is it correct, the logic that I have put to my filters and fields? If not, we can always go in, as mentioned before, changing the criterias. We can wait another day and then see, yes, this is correct. And then we click and hold to run for real. And then the automation runs. So this is one automation, just how easy that is. And that is beginner's level. Then we also want to launch a project on a risk customer. So we might want to have, we can have another risk reason and another action. Risk. Stakeholder not. Let's say that the stakeholder hasn't logged in 3 months. And the same as risk. So we want to launch a project based on that the stakeholder hasn't logged in on 3 months. So now we are at a user level that we are emphasizing on that the stakeholder has not logged in the last 3 months. So that is what we will trigger it on. Should we allow multiple runs per user? Yes. Then we probably don't want to launch this project every month or every 3 months. So we might want to wait at least 100 days, let's say. Then we go down to criterias. We continue with when an item is updated. We continue with the permission of changing it to the left-hand side. And then we go to add criteria. So now we're gonna go in and match a lot of filter, both on customer level, that we want to have it on the status that is not, usually can be easier. So we don't want this automation to be on customers that are within churned, new trial, ongoing trial, ending trial, cancelled. Probably not, maybe. That depends. There we don't want to have the effect. Then we can have stakeholder. It should be a stakeholder. Yes. The user should be active. Yes. The customer should be active. That I did, yes. So I took with and status and customer active. Okay, yes. So when a user is active, then the customer is automatically active. And then let's see if it's here, last seen on the user. And here we come with the dynamic values, similar to the ones that we are working with in customer lists as well to filter out. But so we said that they haven't logged in, so it's back in time, but we still want it to be relevant. So we are rolling minus, because it's back in time, 365 days. So at least the last year we won't include. If it's 3 years ago, it probably doesn't or might be necessary anymore. So that's why we want to have it there. 2 rolling still minus, because it was minus 90 days ago. 90 days ago. My math, the human errors. So here we then have, so they haven't logged in to your platform the last 3 months. That can be seen as a risk. So those are the criteria that we have here. And then we want to have action to add a new action. We probably want to launch, create a task or create a project. We can have it create a task that will notify via email the team member. It will only be one task, or if we have a standardized process of how can we engage the stakeholder again, commit them to become more active in our platform. Maybe there are several tasks involved in order for us to turn that stakeholder around, then I would recommend to have a project. And then create a task, for instance, where we then can use it from templates if we have, or from scratch. Where we then have stakeholder not active last 3 months. Then due date, here we can have it and set it as the day when it was created, set a dynamic date, use a tag, or use the fixed date. So here we can also have it as an empty value, so we don't see a lot of red. We don't like that. Comments, use the customer's team member, and then we can have a backup team member, for instance. So here we then also can have someone that backup, and then create action. Are we ready to activate? We click yes, as it will run as test, activate. And here we will then see. So those are on risk, where we then have done one on customer level down to user level. So we see here that we, even though both are at risk, we need to create 2 different automations because we have 2 different risk reasons. Then we can also be notified and send welcoming emails to stakeholders. So here we are back to automate out emails. If we want to automate that workflow with probably a segment with low ARR, or to everyone to enhance the experience. I have received that. We are working with that. That a few of my customers ask, how can you be so up to date with new CSMs logging in, etc. And it's the help of automations and also with the help of the data that we get in. So here we then can create a new automation, and here we can welcome new stakeholders, and then we email stakeholders. Sorry if I do any typos, as I see that the time is flying. Then we still do it on user level. We don't need to do it multiple runs per user, as they can only be new one once, so we can keep it as no. Criteria here when an item is updated. So now when I click here, then all emails will be sent out from me. So if you want it to be generic, my highest recommendation for now is that you create a generic user with the admin access, so that they can create this automation and send out. So if it's customer success at domain.com, or if it's support or info at or hello at, that we log in then and do it from there. And then we can do criteria. Now we still match it on user level mainly. So created at on the user. Still dynamic values. And here I need actually to think, but it's beginning of, let me see, beginning of this day to end of this day. It's not more difficult than that. So that they have received. But we want to add more. We want to ensure that the customer are active. Yes. Maybe we want to go through the ARR. Is important that we have greater than 1, less than, maybe it's our customers that are less than 10,001. Those are the only ones we want to send out to. And also that it should be the stakeholder, for instance, or any other user type. By that, we can go with these ones. We only want it to reach out to admin, super, main. See criteria. And here we then have the action. My recommendation would be or that depends, but of course we sometimes would like to get the notification that we have a new stakeholder, if we want to have that, or maybe not if it's for all users, but if it's for more strategic level users, I would do a notification. However, here we can only decide specific people who would receive, not assigned to team member. And then you will receive an email, and also send email to users we have here, where we then can create our messaging template. I'm not sure actually if I have new user memo here, for instance, where we then can add in links, Calendly or calendar links, user first names, we make it still personal. Here, for instance, we can see dates from Victoria now, and we can do it promotional that they can unsubscribe, or we can also do it personal where they don't unsubscribe. And then here, especially with automations, automated emails, I would run it as a test first to see both how it looks, even try to create yourself or a customer and a user of a colleague of yours who create or become a stakeholder of a company and see how it looks like with the email template, etc. And then you will be able to track that on the customer card as well to see the history, what has been sent out. And yes, then we can also change status from onboarding to adoption after closing onboarding project. So here, just even though it's not that much of clicks, but we can take that entire flow from a customer receive with an automation onboarding, then we'll launch an onboarding project. When the onboarding project is closed, then they will receive adoption, then we will launch adoption project as well. So we can automate that flow as well fully. So that will help you and also keep the entire team accountable to do all the different tasks and ensure that we get standardized processes. So here then change status from onboarding to adoption after closing an onboarding project. Why I wanted to bring that with today is because we go down to project level as well. Onboarding. And that project here, hopefully we only have customers once in onboarding, so we shouldn't need to redo that. Then we go to criterias. Still, when an item is updated, still left-hand side, team member that created automation. And now we're actually gonna match on a filter and also value was changed. So status, only customers that are in onboarding. These will be affected on. Then project name. Let's see. Then it would be here, if you have a shared space, name or internal name. I go for the internal name now. If we do the little star before, and then we write onboarding and star after. So everything that has onboarding in it, and maybe it has something else in before or after, we will take into account to this automation. And then let's see if there's anything else I want. No. And let me see here with value was changed as well. So here we can have completed that from then that is not empty, so it hasn't been completed, to equals beginning of this day, for instance. So it shouldn't have any value in completed at since prior, but now it has been completed at beginning of this day. So the value has been changed in this field, so we don't match. And I see that my other one with match as a filter, I was a bit eager. Then we take it again. Onboarding. And done. And then edit filter again. Sorry, status, the customer. There we go. So now we can see that we have two different ones, because we have one that matches filters, that it should match on the name of the projects and also the status of the customer. But now something has changed here, so we don't trigger it all the time. And then we can on actions update then we need to go to actions on related items, because now we have in focus the actions for the projects. We can update the customer. So we then change the status to adoption and then create action. Yes, and then click and run as test. Last but not least, I will do it quickly just to show you also what we can do with notifications, as I did touch upon a bit. I recommend you to have it for now only for more strategic notify renewal. So here is some customer, but I would recommend it to have it more on strategic with renewals, for instance, where some certain people would like to get notifications that probably are not logging in that often in Startdeliver. So here we can then, what I want to do here is to create a notification when it is 120 days prior to renewal. So we can do this with a 90 days rerun on the customer when an item is updated still. And then it should match on filters again. Status on customer. We can go for is not one-off. So we don't want to have the ones that are churned. Probably won't have a renewal date on these ones, but it can always be better safe than sorry. If they are active. Because yes. And then renews. So it's in the future that we have these ones that we then work on. So then we have another dynamic field that we have. So we select the renews field and then we go for dynamic. So beginning of this day. So now we're moving forward. Before we did the minus when we were behind. Now we're actually looking forward. Then it's plus. So then we have rolling 120 days, for instance. And then save criteria. And what I would do here then is to add a new action notification, where we then can select who should receive these notifications. So it's not assigned to team member, maybe head off or anything like that would like, or the entire team. But we want to ensure that we don't spam the team either. So we can select someone. And then subject, as it will be sent as an email, what it's about, and then also make it personalized. So it looks like this. That we can see that an automation notification sent from Startdeliver. So 40 minutes, I was a bit naive when I said 30, when it's so much to go through with the automations. But of course, I would like to see if there are any questions in the chat. Let's see here. Are there any available statistics or tracking features in the email automation system that show metrics such as how many recipients opened the mail, how many didn't, how long they viewed it, and similar engagement data? Today we don't. We have the unsubscribe, meaning that we can see who did unsubscribe, etc. But we don't have more information than that, unfortunately. Just to manage expectations of you as well, we will look into and see what is possible. Yet we won't become a marketing tool there either. Automations is, of course, to help you to become more efficient. So I don't know when in the roadmap we will look into that. We can create, of course, statistics and data on the automation itself, but then look into even more of they have open viewed, etc. I think will be a bit difficult. But let me look internally as well to see when in the roadmap we will look into it. No more questions as of yet. If you have any questions or if you would like to schedule a meeting to go through, if you already have created automations or if you just want to discuss automations, feel free to do that. We're more than happy to do so. And thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this webinar. And we will send the recording at least tomorrow. So wish you the best of luck and have a great day. Take care now.